No nonsense gin drinking. All gin, no nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman and today, my friends, we have another gin from the north of England. Feast your eyes upon this tiny little taster bottle, which is Sheffield Dry Gin from the True North Brewing Company. Now, I don't think we've had a few from the north of England. Mason's was made in the north, old Mason's over there, that was made in the north of England, but certainly none from Sheffield before. If you're not familiar with Sheffield, you might know it from the film The Full Monty with your man Robert Carlyle and the fat bloke from Game of Thrones. And they do a whole range of gins, but this particular one is called the Moorland Berries, and it was sent to me by my friends at the Gin Box shop, who are very nice people and have an extraordinary array of gins, and I suggest you go and visit them immediately. But in the meantime, let's find out a bit about them, shall we? And of course they are from the north of England, so we will be getting my generic north of England accent. Sheffield Dry Gin's Moorland Berries is distilled blending hand-picked blueberries, cranberries and blackberries, available from Sheffield's surrounding moors and heathlands. A small batch gin distilled in a handmade copper pot still, imported from Portugal. I'm not sure if that makes it any better or not, to be honest. Our Sheffield Dry Gin is the first gin to be distilled and bottled in Sheffield for over 100 years. And that's all they say about it, to be honest, but I can see they do an array of gins on there. They got like a Sheffield Dry, like a standard dry gin, a raspberry and pomegranate gin, and also a marmalade gin. Now, if you watch the show a lot, you know I love an orangey marmalade gin. Listen to this. Marmalade gin is twice infused with Seville oranges and marmalade, which has been made locally by the Hedgerow Preserving Company. And God damn it, I think more companies should be preserving hedgerows. Never mind COVID-19, who's looking after the hedgerows? Anyway, back to the review. So, I think we've sort of fanning around enough. Let's get the tiny little top off here and have a good old sniff. Now, I have enjoyed berry sort of gins before, so I'm quite looking forward to this one. I think it works well with gin. So let's get them in the old glass, shall we? There we go, and have a little sniff. So, not quite as laden down with the whole sort of forest fruity type of berry type thing as I thought it was going to be, but very light and airy and just little wafts and sort of not drizzles. What's a little tiny bit of smell? I don't know. I suppose just the tiniest of whiffs in there. Just a whiff. Which, as we've agreed before, is a slightly smaller version of a waft. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in whiffs and wafts again. Let's put some tonic in there and see how she fares, shall we? So just a tiny bit, release the old flavours. So I say to my friends from up north, the first ever Sheffield Dry Gin with, what was it called? Moorland Berries. I say, cheers. To be honest, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. I have to say though, there's not much going on as with the aroma. Doesn't seem to be living up to the fruity berry sort of tastes. That's not to say it tastes bad. I'd say as a gin, that's a pretty good gin. That's a solid kind of beefeatery, brokery, Plymouthy, Tanqueray kind of gin. However, I wonder what their standard dry gin would taste like, because this is sort of supposed to be a move away from that. As I say, but what does it say? Blackberries and something else. I can't remember what it said now. Blackberries, blueberries, cranberries, and to be honest, if a gin's promising that, I think it doesn't want to be overboard, doesn't want to go, sort of completely overwhelm the juniper and the ginness with those fruity sort of flavours. However, if you sort of promise something, you kind of have to deliver on that. If you're going to sort of market this as a sort of a summer fruits or whatever it is, Sheffield Moorlands, what was it, the whole thing, Moorland Berries, I think it needs to go a bit heavier on the berries. I think they're a bit stingy on the berries there. I don't know if there's a shortage of berries in the Sheffield Moorlands. However, I think they could have thrown a few more in. To be honest, I think it should have been marketed more as just a standard dry gin, maybe their core product, and then its uniqueness then would perhaps be just a touch of those berries, because that's all it is. Imagine literally someone's just sort of thrown a bit of magical berry dust. Oh my God, seriously, I do talk a lot of old shit sometimes. But humour me for a minute, but just that kind of a sort of and it's just sort of gone. If that makes any sense whatsoever, that's what it's like. So I guess what I need to do is reset my parameters slightly and try it as just a normal gin. So, yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. It's not going to be doing anything sort of strange, weird and wonderful and out there, but I'd say as a gin, it's pretty solid. It's got all the juniperiness and the sort of standard flavours you get. It does taste a little bit weaker. What is the ABV on it? It is, yes, 40%. So yeah, I've tried quite a few gins recently that have been a bit weaker than usual. Usually we sort of like to see them about sort of hovering around 42 to 43, but personally, I reckon this one could have benefited by having the old ABV sort of boosted up a little bit in the same way that gins like number 3 do, where they sort of boost it just not too much, up to about 45. That one's actually 46, I think. I think it kind of turbocharges those flavours a little bit. And I think with this one, which seems to be a little bit lacking in flavour, I would say, I think if they'd have boosted the old potency up a little bit, maybe that would have made those flavours sing in a way that they're not quite doing at the moment. So then, let's find out what this little fellow will cost you, because that was a sort of a fairly lukewarm review, I think we can all agree. So personally, I wouldn't want to spend too much on this. I'd feel a little bit shortchanged. However, my friends, it's not the cheapest of gins. It's going to cost you 38 English pounds, which is equivalent to $51.43. And as we know, it's over my sort of £30 bracket, but I do stretch that to £40 for lesser known gins, and it is a lesser known gin. I'd not heard of it before, and I imagine a lot of you guys hadn't. But I like to try and sort of educate people. Not educate, that sounds a bit patronised, but I like to sort of bring people in, sort of introduce people to sort of lesser known gins that you might not have otherwise heard of. However, although it does fall into that bracket, and technically it should be right up to £40, personally, I would not have been that happy if I'd have bought a full bottle of this at 38. I think it probably would have found itself sitting on the shelf for quite a while. So it's not, it's not a bad gin by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't feel like it's quite fulfilling what it's promising, but and at the same time, it's charging quite a bit for it. So, probably not one I'm going to recommend today. So guys, to sum up, I suppose I was a little bit disappointed because I was looking forward, because the bar had been set very high by the good old Masons over there. It was in one of my top 10 gins of 2020. And honestly, go check out Masons. They've got some extraordinary flavours in their lineup. And I was kind of thinking, oh, they're from the north as well, these northerners. I think they've got a good gin thing going on. However, I'd be very keen, very, very keen to try the other ones in their range. Particularly that marmalade one. That sounds awesome, but I'm hoping it would have a few more flavours than this one. So, not a bad gin, not a bad gin. If you want to try it, you might disagree with me. But for me, I think it's a little bit lackluster and a little bit too much money. So gin lovers, I hope you've enjoyed this video, found it useful or informative. If you have indeed, and you haven't done already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the little like button, and of course the bell icon so you get notified when my new videos come out. And if you want to support the show, please head over to my Patreon page or click that there join button below the video. But until next time guys, you know the drill. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons and members, and keep drinking the gin.